times on some projects. Paul is a entrepreneur and author here in Omaha. He lost his adult daughter and wife of 40 years to death just 9 months apart. And that showed Paul real grief. When attending grief support groups, he noticed that there were few fellow male attendees. Most of them cater to the widows. This led to his book, Men Grieve Too, Tools to Help Men Rebuild After the Death of a Loved One. Paul also hosts retreats and day-long seminars focused on helping men deal with their grief. You can go to the website, nevergrievealone.com. Paul's is the producer and host of the Grow Your Biz show and Behind the Words TV, which appear on KPAO, which is a local TV station, and several social media platforms under growmedia.com branding. Prior to his work in media, Paul worked in all phases of the recruiting and staffing industry, primarily in IT and healthcare niches. Paul is a graduate of Dana College in Blair, Nebraska. Please give your time and attention to Mr. Paul Madsen.
And of course, I didn't get my timer set. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for that introduction. Thank you to Michael McKee of Legal Shield, and thank you to Jim Barger of Action Coach for inviting me to speak with you. It is my honor and privilege to be here today. I believe that I'm going to give you and have you leave here with some nuggets of value that will help you to grow, not just today, but in your future, as personally and in your business. Also, I wanted to thank Mike Schmeckley, and I did it right. It's his business, Life Alchemy by Michael, and he's an enrichment coach and also a crack video photographer. So great, thank you, Michael. I wasn't going to do this, but I have to add it in. the jokes, especially with our physical therapist in the room. You know, I was quite a skeptic of orthopedic shoes, but now I stand corrected.
Nice.
That wasn't in the script. You can use that one. Not original. Oh, okay. Well, let's get rolling. Who remembers these people? Most of you remember the 1970s. The Coneheads, of course. The Coneheads were sketch comedy people on Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live in the 70s, for some of you, was it fun? It's still around, you know. But anyway, they were from another planet, of course, and they took the pop culture by storm. Very funny, even a big major motion picture by them in 1993, or about them, whatever. Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, the whole works. And because they were funny, my smoking hot bride and I, who were bound by our senses of humor, decided that we were going to be the Coneheads at a Halloween party that we were invited to. Ready to got all the stuff together, got the rubber heads, got the uniforms, got the makeup. I even practiced some of the talk that they did like that, and we were ready to go. The problem was, how do you get to the party? Don't you have a car, Paul? Yes. It was a 1979 rusty black Honda Prelude. They don't even have a back seat. Pretty small car to try to squish your cone head into. Well, what did we do? Fortunately, I had a sunroof. So, in there, you're getting it, you're ahead of me. Sunroof open, climb on in, let's take the cone heads out the top, and we were ready to go. So, off we went to the party. Anybody have a guess why we were late to the party? I remember sense of humor. My wife, Lisa, my sense of humor, wherever we went, people laughing, pointing, honking, waving, kids on the sidewalk, people in the street, people in the crosswalk. They loved it. We loved it. We loved the attention. We didn't care if we got to the party. I don't even remember the party. But the party was waited, and we had such fun getting there. So that was a fun memory. The fun memory for my family. There's me, my wife Lisa, Betsy, Dane, Laura, and Jake. So these are the memories. One more. These are the memories that, and there's Laura and her fiance Kevin. These are the memories that families create. The families have and families do. And so that's what it was. But the memories on that high roller coaster, that fun Conehead day, well, roller coaster goes down, doesn't it? And death is personal to me, my son's, and my daughter's fiance. 9 months after the death of my 31-year-old daughter, Laura, my wife of 40 years, Lisa, also died. Our family's all too familiar with hospice, ICUs, 24/7 oxygen, and all the other things that come with deaths from the long-term chronic illnesses. Roller coaster goes down. Life isn't all driving around as coneheads. There's the reality that is also there. Who remembers this guy? Morgan Freeman, starring as Red in Shawshank Redemption, the Good Prison Break movie. What does Red say? He says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." So that's his think about that line. Get busy living or get busy dying. Pretty profound. You know what? I've had enough with death. I'm going to focus on the get busy living part. Aren't you? Wouldn't you rather do that? I'm sure you would. Lots of people nodding. Well, how about a formula today? A formula for growth, a formula for going up, a formula for getting to living. How about 3 easy steps, okay? First step. Who's in for that? Who wants an easy formula for growth? Thank you. Some of you do. Almost everybody. Oh, well, that's great. You're all here to grow. Wonderful. First step. Identify yours or your customer's problem. Paul, that's pretty basic, and it is. Let me unpack that a little bit later. Second step, identify yours or your customer's potential solution. Potential solution. Third step, identify your or your customer's perfect solution. Perfect solution. So let's unpack that. I'll talk about my favorite subject first, me. Okay. My situation. You might think that, I think we can go one more slide, I think. Perfect. You might think that death is my problem. I'm trying to identify my problem. You know what? In May of 2021 and August of 2020, when they both died, that was my problem, of course. But it's September of 2022 right now. What do you think my problem is now? Some of you who know me well can't go on and on. What do you think my problem is now? Grief. I know the talk is named From Grief to Growth, but guess what? That implies that grief goes away. It doesn't. A lot of you beat me to that, shaking your head. It doesn't go away. Speaking of which, I forgot to acknowledge some people. I've got some grief buddies here. Bill, Paul, and Steve all had major losses in their life, and thank you for coming, and thank you for your support, and I hope I can support you as well. Grief doesn't go away. You just get used to it, right? It's always there. And so my problem now is grief. And my problem a while ago was grief in isolation. Not only was I just grieving, but after all the funerals and the people and the food and the cards and the paperwork and all that stuff that is required in those situations, I had an adrenaline letdown. And all I wanted to do was sit me be isolated. Let me be apart. Let me be alone. I don't want to go through all this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to pick the scabs off and start all over again. I just want to be alone. I just want to be isolated. So sit I did. I didn't watch TV, didn't read. I sat. And that was my problem. And I actually, I don't know how, I identified that problem. I said, identify your problem. I'm a people person. I'll start the party. I'll end the party. I'll be the party in the middle. And guess what? I'm sitting in my brown chair in my family room, alone, in the quiet. All of this may be a problem. Congratulations to me. I identified the problem. How about you? How about you in your business? I can wander a little bit. I got some room here. If I don't trip. How about you in your business? What problem can you identify for you or your customer? Maybe it's something as simple as, hey, we don't have enough customers. I'm a small businessman. I've had that problem several times. Many of you have probably had that situation. That's just an example. And guess what? Congratulations to you. If you identified that as a problem, you're so busy working in your business that you don't, like Jim Barker says, you don't work on your business. You are just, you never come up for air, but guess what? You came up for air. And you realized, we don't have enough customers. Thank you. You've identified the problem. Step 2, identify your potential solution. And what does that mean? Well, in the case of business, perhaps you're identifying the solution of, we don't have enough customers. Let's advertise. That makes sense. We'll get customers through advertising. Well, maybe you've heard about this thing called the internet. You can advertise in Google Ads, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Yahoo. The list goes on and on. Or you could advertise and spend money on television. You can spend money on newspaper. There's a thing called the Yellow Pages. You have to look up what that is. Keep picking on the young guys. So, he's used to it. Last time I come to this group with all the old people. Anyway, the point is, you have identified many solutions, potential solutions. Now, are they good solutions? Are they solutions you can afford? That's not what we're talking about. We're first identify potential solutions. Okay. Number 3, identify perfect solution. Identify a perfect solution. Well, let's go back to business. If you don't have enough customers, maybe you don't want to spend thousands or millions on advertising. Maybe you do what Jim Barker does with Action Coach. He taught me about an angle. He's doing it right now. Right now. Take a look at him. He's doing it right now. And what is that? That is not spending gazillion dollars on advertising. That is a thing called networking. In his case, he taught me, when I worked briefly for him, Toastmasters, Centersphere, Business Networking International, West Omaha Chamber of Commerce, Omaha Chamber of Commerce, Optimists, Rotary. I learned all those things, all those ways to get out and be with people, and it's not that expensive. Omaha, well, of course, that's obvious. Thank you for the best one, of course, the Omaha Empowerment Breakfast. Got to plug it, you bet. Thank you for saying so. It reminded me, that was in the script, believe it or not. At any rate, networking, getting out with people, an inexpensive solution. And that might be one of Jim's perfect solutions. He told me that his perfect solution involved that. It says, the more people I talk with, the more business I got. Now, that's not really that profound, but it's a really good reminder, isn't it? The more people you talk to, the more business you can get. So that was a perfect solution for Jim. For me, the solution, I'm thinking back to my isolation, back in my potential solutions. I skipped this part here. When I was isolating, I was considering my potential solutions. And again, I realized I had a problem, and I started looking at things. Well, one potential solution might be alcohol. Maybe another one, drugs. Maybe another one, promiscuity, pornography, finding a naive girlfriend half my age, having her moved to my house, maybe selling the house, moving away to the mountains, maybe dumping my church, being mad at God, and leaving all my church friends behind. Maybe suicide. There's a lot of potential solutions, all of them bad, but I identified those potential solutions. Well, what my perfect solution became was I won the Grieve lottery. What I mean by that, the Grieve support lottery. When my daughter died and then my wife died, my friends from kindergarten got a hold of me, this thing called Facebook, and they said, Paul, come home. We want to go bicycling, camping, golfing, and canoeing with you. And I did, and I felt like I really touched base with these people. I did all those things. I went home and did that in Wisconsin. Loved Wisconsin. And at any rate, then I came back to Omaha. And the same thing happened. New friends, people I'd known for 40 days. And old friends, people I'd known for 40 years. They came and supported me. And they got me off my butt. They got me active. They got me going. You know what they were? What I call it? They were helpful. Helpful, helpful, helpful. That was their solution. My perfect solution was their helpfulness. On an Angel on Earth named Kim, first time when Laura died, offered to help make a big breakfast for my family who was in town after the funerals. I probably pushed him away and said, I can do this, I can figure this out. Second time, I'm finally getting smarter. Kim made a wonderful, huge brunch for my family, and guess what? We got to enjoy our time together instead of me running around the kitchen. Just little things like that, little help. My book, I had 12 people come in and help me proof it, examine it, hash through it. One reader called it verbal vomit, and I'm sure it was. And basically the situation was they were just so helpful. They made it so much better than it was. Another situation, let's maybe the slide here. Well, there's Lisa Pelto of Concierge Publishing. This book would not exist without her. Cover, design, formatting, proofing, editing, all way over above the top. One more slide, please. On the back, she insisted that I have a picture. I said, I'm not Brad Pitt, I don't want a picture. She insisted I have a picture. And so I contacted Monica Simpak of Monica Simpak Photography. A lot of you know her. She was on my show, the Grow Your Biz show. I interviewed her, great show, great interview on KPAO. And the bottom line is, you go there, and she's got a pretty new studio. You go there, and it's intimidating. I mean, I've got a TV show, but I'm not used to cameras focused on the lights flashing. That's kind of weird. She gave me the dog. Gave me the dog to relax and lighten up. That's not the picture. Anyway, we ended up with a really cool end product. And on that product, what we had was, I was pleased with it. I showed it to a friend, a 25-year friend, someone who known me for a long time. And I showed it to her on the phone. She's looking at the phone. She looked at me, looked at the phone, looked at me, and she said, "Is that you?" So Monica's a magician, not a photographer. Anyway, thank you for the help on that. So that is one more, I think. But that is another example of people helping me. So I allowed myself to be helped. I encourage you in your perfect solution to allow people to help you. Well, before I start, my daughter Laura, 23-hour-long open heart surgery in 2016, and that's a long surgery. And 5 weeks in ICU afterwards made it so her lungs were trashed, and that began her decline. 4 years on oxygen 24/7. And anyway, she never was mad about her lot in life. She was, how can I inspire people? How can I help other people with their journey? And that was her thing. She never said, I'm a victim. She said, how can I help people? She says things about help in a much better way than I can.
Good afternoon, friends and family. Peace and good tidings to you on this gorgeous September day here in Omaha, Nebraska, United States of America. And yeah, so I wanted to make a short little video on why it is important to being grateful. Being grateful helps you increase your happiness level. If you're feeling down, just think of 3 things to be grateful for. And if you do that for 21 days in a row, you'll feel amazing because it'll be a new habit. And if you have a habit of having an attitude of gratitude, life will be peachy, keen, awesome. You know, like, most of us have been really, really, really well off since we have a roof over our heads, we have food in the pantry, we have loved ones who care about us, and we can connect with them really, really, really quickly over the internet. That's pretty cool. So, just things to keep in mind as you're going about your day, and I hope that this little 2-day video could pick you up and brighten your day. That's my job. At least I like to think it is. So, have a good one. Bye.
The cool thing about that is Laura wanted to be a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, and now she is. All I have to add to that is, what is your perfect solution for your client, for yourself, and what kind of help to your client or yourself does that offer? What will that look like? That's my question to you. And if it's from a helpful heart, from a helpful heart place, it will be the perfect solution. Lastly, as you consider your perfect solution, also remember why you're doing it. Thank you.